The all-new Choice 102, Jimmy Buffett, Margaritaville, 7:16, 16 minutes after 7 o'clock on the Choice Morning Show with Dave and Matt. Good morning, Matt.
And we're here.
Thanks for letting me crash your morning show again.
We like to do that, but you came with gifts of food, so that's allowed.
We bribed our way in.
Hey, AccuWeather saying thunderstorms today. Some of those storms could bring flash flooding and damaging winds. High temperature 74. It's going to be primarily around the 2 to 4 o'clock this afternoon time frame. Right now, 60 degrees and raining outside our studio.
Well, hopefully you were listening yesterday, which would save me the news of having to tell you that we are mourning the loss of a big name and a big person here at Choice 102 and in the Valley. Chuck Carver is the man that we had the great fortune of being able to buy this radio station from only a few short months ago. He retired after a 44-year career in broadcasting, 44 years spent completely in the Valley.
In the same station.
And all of those years right here at Choice 102. He passed away suddenly Tuesday night, unexpectedly, of an apparent heart attack. Took everybody by surprise. And beginning yesterday morning at 6 a.m., we went into what I call wall-to-wall tribute mode here on Choice Radio. We heard from so many people yesterday. Todd Bowers joined us for a good 2.5 hours, and Mike Shaw called, listened for 2 hours, and called again. And so many other wonderful people stopped in or called yesterday to share some memories of our good friend Chuck Carver, who did so many things for so many people here, especially in the Valley. So we're back in the studio again this morning. Matt is the regular morning show host of Choice FM, and I generally do the afternoons. And my wife, Irene, who is here also, say good morning.
Good morning.
Does the midday show from 10 till 2. And joining us to continue with some of our tributes here this morning, the CEO of, would it be the Guthrie Clinic?
That's correct.
Yeah, Dr. Joe Scopelletti, who I've been vehemently told to call Joe. Good morning, Joe.
Good morning, David.
How are you? Please get right into that.
I'm good. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yes.
You've been in this room many, many times. This is only the second time with me, and the many, many other times before that were with Chuck.
Yep. And they were all good experiences and good memories. And I think, like many, I'm going to miss him terribly. He was a remarkable man and a great part of the community. I don't know, quick story. When I moved here from Philadelphia, I'd lived at med school there and then afterwards. So there were a lot of big personalities on radio and TV, and that was not unusual. And I grew up in a small town. And when I got here, the morning show was really interesting. It was unique. And Chuck had this way of taking storylines from the schools, from the community, from businesses, and turning them into, I don't know, almost a drama. He could string it out in a way that created this interest. And I really looked forward to the morning show here. And he gave the Valley, the community, depth and interest. He made it a fun place to live, an interesting place to live. And that was really different for small towns that I had experienced. And then over the decades afterwards, that morning show every day, whatever storyline he picked up and how he developed it and created it, really gave the Valley a personality. And so, I'm sure people he did a lot of great stuff, the Scholarship Challenge and Christmas for Kids and all of that. But I think what he really did, in my view, was that everyday richness that he added to the life here. And that was pretty important to me, and I think to others.
I think if he were sitting in this chair, he would tell you that the Valley has its own personality and that he just shined the spotlight on it. He was the one that, we all kind of just go about our business, right? And, especially you're a great example, I think, as a doctor and a CEO of a hospital, large medical facility. I mean, you do great things every single day. And Chuck had a way of taking what's just everyday normal for each of us and saying, boy, Joe, that's really great.
Yep.
Your name is etched into a plaque on the wall in the hallway here at Choice FM. And as of last year, it's the same plaque that Chuck's name's been added to as well for Individual of the Year. When you're here so many years, you make all the decisions. So, Chuck made that Individual of the Year award. He created that, scholarship challenge, all that stuff. He created that Individual of the Year and had a hand in selecting that individual for all of those years. And you obviously made the list. So, I mean, he had he felt a certain way about you. Like, you obviously impressed him. You impressed many of us, but I mean, we're talking about Chuck here today. So, yeah. I mean,
yep.
You're a special guy to him.
Well, that's great to hear. I mean, I think like Chuck, we just try and do what we can, do the best that we can for our communities. The Individual of the Year was a funny thing. I have, if you work for me, with me, one of my favorite sayings is that there are no secrets in healthcare. And I go around the building, and every day people tell me things, and it's in confidence. And an hour later, 22 other people have told me the same story. And it's probably the same for small towns. There's really no secrets in these small towns. And
there goes that Choice bus again. It goes by the morning show every 10 minutes. I've never noticed it before until yesterday and today with Chuck's name on the side of it.
Very good. So anyway, so that Individual of the Year award, so I got invited to come here, and there was no description of what this was about, just interview with Chuck. And it's probably the only time in my career here that they kept the secret. I did not know what it was about until I got here.
That's funny.
And so he gets an A+ for stealth mode, that he was able to do that in our little town and in our little organization.
And do you remember, sometimes it's a whirlwind when you're on the air live and in the moment like that. Do you remember how that conversation went, how that presentation went?
Oh yeah, it was typical Chuck. He poked a little fun at me and somebody else, and then he went into his deep appreciation and thoughtful analysis of what you did, and then the other half of the Oreo he finished up by poking some more fun at you. He didn't allow anybody to let their ego remain in any large size.
Right,
He kept it, and that was that was Chuck. I mean, so my personal favorite about Chuck was that he was one of those people who had his opinion, good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
It was always clear, and it was in public, and it was never apologetic.
Yeah.
But the thing was with Chuck was that if he bought into your idea or the concept or the issue, he was a relentless advocate. I mean, he just would never let it go. He would promote it for decades afterwards, and I think that was where his real value to the Valley and the community, and many of us as individuals were. Once he was a supporter, he would certainly poke fun at you, but you knew he would have your back, and he would get your support.
Yeah.
You would get his support, and it was really great to work with him.
I know what a praise sandwich is, where you give someone a compliment, and then you tell them the bad news, and then you give them the compliment at the end. I don't know what that is, where you pick on them, give them an award for Citizen of the Year, and then pick on them some more at the end. Is that a Chuck sandwich, maybe?
Yeah, we could call it.
I think they call that a roast.
a Carver roast.
Yeah.
And it was a great way to interact with him, because as a news person, he can be a little intimidating to people like me.
Oh yeah,
and
to a lot of people, sure.
And
to people like us too.
Yeah.
So he made sure that it was It was well intended, and you never left hurt, but you also didn't leave overconfident.
That's funny. Well, Dr. Joe Scopelletti, the CEO of the Guthrie Clinic, we appreciate you taking some time this morning and coming in and joining us on the Choice 102 Morning Show and helping us remember our good friend Chuck Carver, who passed away Tuesday evening outside his home in Lidditz, Pennsylvania, where he retired to about a year or so ago to be closer to his boys who moved down there and have all gotten married and had kids of their own, and to do full-time pop duty, as they called it. So he was really enjoying it, but he really thought the world of you, and I know that you guys were good buddies, and I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to come in here this morning.
Well, thank you, and our prayers and condolences to his family and friends, and we certainly wish them all the best. Thank you very much.
We appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joe.
Thank you.
That's right. 727 on the Choice 102 Morning Show. We've got a special tribute to Chuck in our news this morning. You'll hear it coming up at 7:30, just a few minutes from now on Choice FM.